I'm talking to Mark Bailey today, who's a digital marketing development coach. How you doing, Mark? You all right?
Good, thanks. To you?
Yes, not bad. Thank you very much. Can we start off? Could you just tell me a bit about yourself and your career journey so far? What's led you to this point in time?
Yeah, okay. So I have worked in branding and marketing for over 30 years. And I think I graduated in 1991. Around 15 years ago, I got contacted by my previous university who asked me to do postgraduate certificate in education. So as to become a teacher, and ultimately this has led me to apprenticeships. So the first original apprenticeships I did were at least 10 years ago, but I think it was probably 15. And that was in a college. And then obviously this is where I've ended up today. So I would say digital has changed possibly in the last 15 years or 20 years. So obviously the marketing has gone from what's known as a push to a pull. So they've gone from old-fashioned advertising on billboards and magazines to digital platforms, basically.
Excellent. So a bit about yourself then, Mark. Any hobbies or interests? Anything you do outside? Do you have time to do anything else outside of work?
Yeah, I've got a family, so it's a lot of time with them. I do walking. I live sort of in the countryside now, so there's lots of walks, sometimes over to the lakes.
Nice.
I've also been a season ticket holder for 40 years, so I go to the football whenever they put it on now, because it changes all the time now, so it's a bit terrible. It can be on a Friday night and it can be on a, so yeah, and that's mainly that. But I still dabble in a bit of design and creative stuff, which is obviously aligns itself to the digital marketing anyway.
Absolutely.
So I keep that going. That's kind of predominantly around Photoshop and Illustrator stuff. And obviously these kind of skills are also bolted onto the digital marketing, so I can share these things with the learners as well. So
absolutely, that's brilliant. So I was just thinking about sort of the digital marketing apprenticeship and apprenticeships in general, and thinking from the employer's point of view, really. So why would you recommend bringing an apprentice into a team against a traditional hire?
Well, it's an opportunity to bring youth and new skills and new ideas into the business. Obviously, younger people don't have all the past record of things, so they don't bring that baggage with them. And also, if people or employees are honest with themselves, they'll recognise that a lot of them didn't grow up in a digital environment, so younger people have, so they tend to pick that up quicker and they understand it better, and they've been doing it since there was junior school, so it's a lot more applicable and understandable. And it also any company that leaves digital behind will ultimately be left behind in today's marketplace. So it's essential, really. And I think having an apprentice is a good way. You can also hone their skills alongside the company's culture, and you can kind of get somebody to fit in immediately, like I said, bringing new knowledge and skills into the business at the same time.
Just listening to you talk really passionately about digital marketing, why is that?
Well, I think it gives everybody an opportunity that was never had once upon a time. So if you think about it, some of the original advertising agencies and marketing budgets, it used to be, I don't know, £1 million to advertise an advert in Coronation Street. It's not attainable to small, medium-sized enterprises, to small businesses, whereas a digital platform allows people to be creative and compete on a similar level. I mean, obviously there is some disparity as well, but generally allows people to compete on a global scale if required, because obviously with the internet you can reach everyone, and it also has a role for everybody. So you can be creative, you can be organized, you can be more technical. There's lots of different roles within that. Even though I think the most people today are sort of veering towards being sort of digital journalists, is kind of the way I see it. So it's about content. So the most important thing about digital are the 3 C's: content, and content.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. If you haven't got good content, you get nowhere. So that's why I think, like I said, it gives people an opportunity to get into an interesting marketing role, which may not have been available in the past.
And that's a really good analogy, really, because if you think about that corner shop 20 years ago, or that little shop that was selling gifts, their market was very sort of local and maybe a little bit of national. Whereas now the internet and digital marketing has brought them to an international audience as well. So they're exporting even the little small businesses, aren't they?
Yeah, but you can allow, if you were in, if you're in Lancashire or Yorkshire and you had a special sauce, or something that, the local people knew about, but nobody else knew about it because you had to originally just come to Yorkshire, say, to find it. People can now buy that and have it in America if they want. So it can be amazing. There's the other thing as well. It's really, really important is a two-way engagement. So if you think about a billboard that you walk past, or a magazine or a newspaper advertisement or a television advertisement, there's no engagement with the audience. Whereas digitally, people can respond to your work, and they can also be critical about it as well. But they can also say, "Oh, that went really well," or "How about this?" And there's a good example of this is things like Philadelphia cheese, where if you've seen the adverts on the television, you microwave the tub and it melts it all into a cheese sauce. Now that's come from social media. That's where somebody's been posting that, and that's why I'm talking about. That's why all the opportunities come forward, and that's why I think it's so important and lots of opportunities for people.
Brilliant. So you touched on, when we were talking about recommending apprenticeships, you touched on a few of the benefits there, but what would you say are some of the benefits of a digital marketing apprenticeship that they can bring to the business? I know you touched on sort of new ideas, etc. Anything else there?
Okay, well, like I said to you earlier, companies have to be on the digital marketing compass. They have to. There is no other way to be in today's world. That is the way we operate. So think about, obviously, you've got email campaigns, you've got your website, you've got all the social media, etc. And a digital apprentice can help contribute to that, if not, in some cases, be the only person in that company who can create that platform. That is a key component. Like I said to you earlier, bring new ideas. And also there's a sort of conduit between, the knowledge and skills are being taught on the apprenticeship, and they can bring that to the business. So that means that obviously the business doesn't have to physically attend sessions. The apprentice can bridge that gap. New ideas. They may have got stale with, doing things the same way for 10 years, and now they think, oh, well, do it this way. We had an incident with one of my learners who did like an animated PowerPoint, and they sent that out to all the customers, and it increased sales massively, but they've never done that before. So suddenly it opened new doors and new opportunities. And I think if apprentices are looked after properly, that's what will happen. New doors are open, new opportunities, and obviously bolting on the experience in the company as well. That'll help the apprentice. So it's a two-way process.
So my next question was about the existing workforce, and obviously bringing that energy into the existing workforce, those new ideas are quite a benefit. Anything else that's going to benefit the existing workforce, do you think, from that apprentice?
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, the current workforce are on their sort of treadmill, where sort of they're chasing the targets and aims and objectives or whatever it is they're set, and the apprentice will allow that holistic view, so they can step back and have a look and go, well, actually, I know we've been doing it this way, but that's taking 3 days. Where if you do it this way, it'll take half a day, and they just haven't had the chance or opportunity, or they're unaware of it. So I think that's what happens with the workforce. And also, it might be the workforce have had ideas that have never been able to be exploited before because they haven't had a platform to do it on, whereas now they have. So that's the key element. And also the workforce with their experience can also support the apprentice, because one thing the apprentice lacks is often experience.
Yeah.
So they can support it in that way as well.
Absolutely. So if you were an employer and you were sort of looking at apprenticeships and you were looking at digital marketing, and you were sort of really undecided, what would you say to that employer if they were thinking about doing it? Would you say it's something that you would definitely plump for? Is it something that pays for itself in the long term? How would you sort of promote it?
You could almost argue if they're thinking about it today, they're too late. They need to be doing it yesterday, because this is the way forward. There is no other way forward. It's not going away. There's not all these companies that are worth zillions all over the world. You know, Silicon Valley, there's a reason for that. You have to be on that ship or that train. If you're not on it, you're going to struggle in the, you know, certainly in the medium term and the long term. So in a sense, if you're not already on it, you could almost argue you're too late. So get on that train quickly, get somebody in, start connecting with your audience and your target audience and your customers, and hopefully that'll create longevity for the business. That's why it's important.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Brilliant answer, Mark. Thank you. So finally, then, obviously, we're looking at you as the development coach delivering those qualifications. Could you just, as a final thing, just outline what a typical coaching session would look like for your apprentice? So what sort of things would be included, and what impact would that have on them, do you think?
Okay, so it's split into two things, really. So there's the knowledge-based elements, and there's also the skills-based elements. So the skills-based elements are based around skills which are taught from the knowledge, which they will employ in the workplace. And then we have sessions which are more knowledge. So that's sort of more theoretical initially. And these are concepts and models, obviously marketing models, that you're trying to incorporate into the workplace. So the idea for that is to improve your processes, improve the way you do things, to increase the success. Now, success is not necessarily just about sales. It could be about engagement and contact with people. It could be about raising profile and brand awareness. It could be about just having more engagement. And there's a famous theory around this called the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto effect. So 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. So if you utilize that and concentrate on that, you should have a longevity in the business. And also it's easier to sell to existing clients rather than keep chasing. That's called transactional in comparison to relationship marketing. So, you know, listen to your customers, react to your customers, and give them what they're looking for as much as you can. And that's why I think ultimately digital will be successful. And those are the kind of things we're doing. I suppose the other way to think about it might be it's a strategic marketing. So you're looking at strategic marketing and how that will impact you. So if you're seen as a low price, low quality product, but you want to be seen as a low price, high quality product, how do you get those messages out to people? And obviously that's through digital platforms, and by explaining, giving examples, giving recommendations, people start to understand that you can have a low price product that's still a high quality. So this is kind of the kind of thing that we do.
So it's quite a structured program then over the time that they're with you. And there's quite a bit of work involved to stretch and challenge the apprentice, but it's quite a mapped out course for you then, is it, with the apprentice?
They essentially do how they work, who they work with, and what they do so that's literally like what it says on the tin, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And then the foundation of all that is built on the sessions that we have, which is the theory of the marketing. And like I said, the idea is to bring those new ideas and concepts to the business to try and improve on or add to the existing processes that they already have. So like I said to you before about the Pareto effect, it might be that people are forever chasing new business rather than concentrating on their existing business, for example. It might just be something like somebody's overlooked, and that might suddenly increase. And it's always easier to sell to people you know than to people you've never met before. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So it is a very structured program. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to get on with, but ultimately it's towards that goal of creating a strategic marketing plan which you can implement across the business, which hopefully will bring you whatever it is you're looking for.
That's brilliant. Excellent. You've sparked my interest, Mark, just by talking to you today. You sparked my interest in that. So that's brilliant. I had that in my periphery and it was something I'm really interested in, but just speaking to you and your enthusiasm today is great. Thank you for your time today, Mark. It's been great to get to know you. It's been great to learn about the qualification and what you do. So just thank you for your time today, Mark.
Great. Nice.
Okay, thank you very much.